It's back. Talking about my cancer. Now, back is not the proper term. We'll discuss that in a moment. But my PSA level, prostate-specific antigen measure in my blood, has reached a sufficient height and is increasing sufficiently fast that my oncologist had decided to intervene. Now, I shouldn't have any PSA. Prostate-specific antigen is a protein that's on prostate cells. I've had a prostate since July 1, 2020. That I have PSA floating around in my blood means that there are cancer cells out there, and there are enough of them now that my oncologist is worried. So, stay tuned. Here goes the next chapter in my cancer journey. And where do I stand? I am the beneficiary of what my oncologist is calling biochemical recurrence of my prostate cancer. Wait a minute, recurrence? According to Webster's, a new occurrence of something that happened or appeared before, a repeated occurrence. This is not a repeat occurrence. This is just that my cancer was lying low or was undetectable, and now it is detectable. Let's mosey on over to the Prostate Cancer Foundation website for a definition of biochemical recurrence. Is that it is a biological measure. It's not a detection of a lump somewhere in my body, but a biological measure of the prostate-specific antigen level in my blood system. In addition to the actual level, doctors consider the doubling time. This is not an arithmetic doubling, it's not times 2. It is a logarithmic function designed to estimate the doubling of actual cancer cells. And if that is a fast doubling, under 9 months, you're in trouble. For a better understanding of biochemical recurrence, let's visit what I'm certain is your favorite publication, Euro Today. That publication has aggregated the definitions used by a variety of organizations. Let's begin with the definition used by these 3 organizations: the American Urological Association, the American Society for Radiation Oncology, and the Society of Urologic Oncology. Those societies use the definition for biochemical recurrence of a PSA greater than or equal to 0.2 nanograms per milliliter in your blood. Now let's consider the National Comprehensive Cancer Network. They dropped that measure to greater than 0.1 nanogram per milliliter. And finally, the American Society of Clinical Oncology. Just any detectable PSA in your blood and a subsequent increase in that measure. Let's look at my PSA. And most recent measure, 0.228 nanograms per milliliter, greater than 0.2. I am suffering biochemical recurrence by any organization's definition. But wait, say ye, who possess a prostate and are of similar age to this 71-year-old. At my age, normal would be 6.5 nanograms per milliliter. How is it possible that anyone would be worried about 0.228? Well, I have undergone 2 lovely experiences in my recent life. The first was a 6-arm robot removed both my prostate and a dozen lymph nodes. A year later, I had radiation of my prostate bed because there was still cancer there. So that measure doesn't mean anything. At my current situation, that 0.228 is definitely an indication that my cancer is on the march. Now remember, in addition to the actual PSA number, we need to determine the doubling time. Here's my doubling time. 3.6 months, certainly lower than 9 months. And you can see it's a slope log of 0.2. This is a logarithmic measure, not an arithmetic measure. It's an attempt to estimate how many prostate cancer cells I have and how quickly they have doubled. And they doubled very quickly. Let's look at another organization's estimate of when you're in trouble. Yeah, doubling time under 6 months. Again, I'm at 3.6 months. My numbers, PSA numbers, are small because I've had that prostate for 6 years. So there is some margin of error for that doubling time, but I'm certainly at a level or below a level where we start to get really worried. And what's next for me? A little radiation in the form of a PSMA PET scan. Let's break this down into its components. PSMA is prostate-specific membrane antigen. It is a protein molecule that attaches to the outside of prostate cancer cells. And positron emission tomography, let's break this down into 2 points. First, tomography is from the Greek slice and then draw or write. It's a CT scanning technique, CT computed tomography. The tomography, your body slides through a machine. Every half a millimeter, the machine takes an X-ray in all directions. As the machine spins around you, then the machine can assemble those X-rays into a 3-dimensional image. What about that positron emission? The positron emission is a consequence of the physician's injecting into your body a very unstable radioisotope that decays. As it decays, it emits these positrons. It also literally glows, and so the scanning machine can see where your cancer is. So how does this work? First, the physicians inject into me this unstable radioisotope, in this case, gallium-68. It flows through my blood system, attaches to that outside membrane of prostate cancer cells, and this CT scanner spins around my body, taking x-rays every half a millimeter, and then assembling them into a three-dimensional image so that we can find those glowing, decaying bits of radiation, not in my prostate, haven't had one for 6 years, but everywhere else in my body. Let's consider a couple of examples of the images that the PSMA PET scanning process produces. Here's a fellow for whom the degrading radioisotope glowed in two parts of his body. One was in the lungs, the other either upper pelvis or lower spine. Here's a less lucky fellow who had glowing spots all over his body. So what happens if the scan finds treatable tumors? There are several fun options. First, my doc might be able to go in and cut those tumors out. Or we could use external radiation, similar to what I did for every day for 8 weeks back in 2021. Or radiopharmaceuticals, the more modern treatment. Typical substance used is lutetium-177, trade name Pluvicto. It works just like the PSMA PET scanning, except with a more potent radioisotope. That radioisotope attaches to that outside protein molecule and then hopefully kills those cancer cells. Available outside of clinical trials, only available in the U.S. if your cancer has become castration resistant. That is, you've undergone the hormone therapy, it's no longer working, or you got physically castrated and your PSA is still rising. And so what's next? Well, if my oncologist, again, as I said, finds sufficiently large clumps of cancer cells to treat with radiation, that's what he'll do. Otherwise, he would like me to start undergoing androgen deprivation therapy. Yeah, that's a sweet thing, otherwise known as chemical castration, because in the U.S., you're not entitled, and there's no insurance will cover any more sophisticated treatments until your cancer becomes castration resistant. Yep, you can go the SNP, or you can have medical castration. In any event, the good news about that is it would keep me out of Hex's army. I think it'd be easier just to fake some bone spurs. But beyond that, there are more sophisticated treatments in Europe that do not require chemical castration, and in fact, the data demonstrate that the more sophisticated treatments are more effective if you haven't undergone androgen deprivation therapy. So, this may become a travelogue. Stay tuned and rave on.